Looks like the cat wants to read court transcripts. Little Rusty wants to read. You ready? You ready to read John Schaffer's court transcripts? I don't think he can. I don't think he can read.
Maybe him being a cat has something to do with it.
That's a fair point.
He does not have the intelligence necessary to decipher words.
Okay. Hey guys, Metal Rose here. I am here with the remaining members of Order of the Rose. We got Metal Dave over here. And then we got Dave English over here. And we're still looking for 2 guitarists if you guys want to join up and be a part of the Order of the Rose band. And for those of you who don't know what Order of the Rose band is, Order of the Rose is an Iced Earth tribute band. Okay, so this is the court transcript reading for John Schaffer's court date, his sentencing date. This is the United States of America versus John Schaffer. Okay, and this all happened on October 25th, 2024 at 10:02 a.m. Yay. We're really exhausted. We're not morning people. Right, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
So what happened that day?
We woke up, we drove over to the courthouse in D.C., and as we were going into the courthouse, we had to go through TSA level screening.
He likes to talk about this TSA level screening.
For obvious reasons.
I love how this court transcript, they spelled John's name wrong. Like John with an H. But in the beginning, they didn't spell it wrong. John. Jon, but then in the middle of it, they spell it wrong. Does that mean it's not the actual John Schaffer? Anyway.
Perhaps.
Right. It's a replacement. Very good looking look-alike, you know?
No, it's the guy from Crocus. The singer of Crocus that happens to look exactly like John Schaffer.
Oh my God. So anyway, proceedings. The courtroom deputy says, Your Honor, we're now calling for the record 21-306 United States of America versus John Ryan Schaffer. Present on behalf of the government is Kate. Well, how do you say that?
What, Rakowski?
Yeah, Rakowski. There you go.
Rakowski.
This way, I don't sound like an idiot, right? Present for the defendant is Andrew.
Marcantel.
Marcantel? You think so?
Or Marcantel, yeah.
Do you think it's not with like an S sound? No, Marcantel. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, Andrew Marcantel as well as Mark Victor, who we've seen on Instagram a lot, and I love his page. It's pretty funny. Present from the probation office is Kristen Lustig.
Yeah, Lustig. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There we go. I did need some people here just so I can read. And the defendant, John Schaffer, is present in person. The court. All right. Good morning, everyone. And I'm guessing the court is the judge. Good morning, Mr. Schaffer. It's good to see you. It's been a minute. Very hip guy. All right, Miss Rakowski. Good to see you, counsel. All right. So we're here for the sentencing of Mr. Schaffer this morning. Everybody ready to go? Miss Rakowski says, yes, Your Honor. Mr. Victor says, yes, Judge. The court says, okay. So I guess that's the judge. So let me just sort of preview how we'll proceed. That's how it's written.
We'll do the sort of supplemental Rule 11 colloquy.
First. Okay, there we go. I'll then just go through what I've received and reviewed. I understand the defendant would like to present a few folks to speak on his behalf this morning. Then go through the guidelines calculations. And then I'll hear from both sides. Then obviously if Mr. Schaffer wishes to be heard, he can do so as well. So why don't I have counsel and Mr. Schaffer come on up? And can we have Mr. Schaffer just placed under oath for present purposes? Courtroom deputy, please raise your right hand. Defendant is placed under oath. The court, all right. Mr. Schaffer, so in light of some developments at the Supreme Court, I'm sure that you're well aware of, there is an additional element, or should I say a more specific element, that's involved in the charge to which you have pled guilty, and the parties have agreed to add to the statement of offense that you agreed to previously as your part of the plea. So this is like the agreement he had. And so I'm simply asking you to acknowledge that the supplemental factual statement is something you agree with, okay? The defendant, which is John, says, yes, sir. The court says, okay. And do you still agree with the facts that are set forth in there describe the basis for what you conduct for your earlier entry of a guilty plea? John says, yes, sir. The court says, and you agree that all those facts are fair and accurate? John says, yes, sir. The court says, okay. Now, in addition to the facts you have already admitted to, you should be aware, and I want to ask you if you're aware, that in order to find you guilty of the charge of obstruction of an official proceeding under 18 United States Code 1512C, subsection 2, the government is also required to prove, or is required to prove, that you impaired the availability or integrity to use in an official proceeding of records, documents, objects, or other things used in the proceeding or attempted to do so.
And as part of your additional or the supplemental factual proffer, you have agreed that your efforts to stop, impede, and delay the certification proceeding targeted and were intended to target all aspects of the proceeding, including impairing the availability of integrity of the records, documents, objects, and other things used in the proceeding. And this includes, but is not limited to, the ballot certifications at issue in the proceeding. Is that a fair and accurate statement, sir?
Then John says, yes, sir.
So the court says, okay. Are there any additional questions I need to ask that you'd like me to, Ms. Rakowski? Ms. Rakowski states, no, Your Honor, thank you. The court says, defense counsel, Mr. Victor, says no objections. The court says, all right. So on the basis of additional pro-offer, as well as my inquiries of Mr. Schaffer, will find him once more guilty of obstruction of an official proceeding in violation of 18 United States Code 1512C, subsection 2. All right, so with that out of the way, let us turn to the sentencing portion. Go ahead and have a seat, gentlemen.
Ms. Rakowski, I had one question to ask you just as a clarification before we proceed. There was an aspect of your sentencing memo that references, this was on page 13, a request of 6 months of home confinement as part of the probation. Was that, Ms. Rakowski, that was an error on that line. I apologize, Your Honor. So the court said, I figured so much. Ms. Rakowski, I cut and pasted something from a prior proceeding. The court, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure because it was neither in the introduction nor conclusion, but I just wanted to make sure I was understanding the government's position. Ms. Rakowski's, thank you, Your Honor. The court, okay. All right, let me review what it is that I've received from the parties and that we'll turn to. I'll ask the defense counsel to confirm that Mr. Schaffer has had an opportunity to read and refer to the pre-sentence investigation report. So I've received and reviewed the pre-sentence investigation report and the probation office's recommendation. So I've received and reviewed the pre-sentence investigation report and the probation office's recommendation for those at the EFC 63 and 64, respectively, the government sentencing memorandum and the motion for downward departure at 68, and then there's the defendant's memorandum in aid of sentencing at 7-2, which includes social history report as well as a note of apology for Mr. Schaffer, various letters of support, as well as some medical information. And, you know, we all wrote letters of support, and we all had a bunch of people try to write letters, and I'm pretty sure the court got those because, you know, we cared and we knew that he wasn't, you know, a part of some type of, you know, conspiracy, you know. You wrote a letter
sure.
too.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know.
Three of those were ours.
Yeah. 3 of those were ours, and then I know some other people who did them. I don't know if they want to be named, though, so I'll just leave it at that. But thank you to the people who did write letters. It probably did make a big difference. I think they said 28 or something.
31.
31. And I did receive the video from the government as well. So is there anything else that I should have received and reviewed from the parties? Ms. Rakowski says, no, Your Honor. Mr. Marcantel, no, Judge. The court, okay. All right. So if I could ask the defense counsel to please confirm that Mr. Schaffer has read and had the opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation report. Mr. Marcantel, he has, Your Honor. The court, okay, terrific. All right, so let me go ahead and address the government's motion for the downward departure, which I will grant. Mr. Schaffer's cooperation does warrant a downward departure. It obviously was timely. So remember what we went over about cooperation in my last video about John? Now, cooperation just means, like, you're doing well in probation and you're not getting in trouble. Just remember that.
The government believes it was truthful and complete, and although Mr. Schaffer was not asked to testify at any trial or at a grand jury, he did sit down on more than one occasion with law enforcement and did provide truthful and complete and helpful information. Certainly, given the timing of this, it was something that exposed him to some risk and his family. And so for all of those reasons, I will grant the government's request for a 5K1.1 departure. I'll agree with the 4-level departure, so the guideline calculation then will be as follows. For obstruction, Mr. Schaffer has no prior criminal history, so he's criminal history category 1. Obstruction of an official proceeding under 2J1.2, the base offense level is a 14. For entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon under 2B2.3, the base offense level is a 4. 2 levels are added for restricted building or grounds. Dangerous weapon was possessed 2 additional levels for an adjusted offense level of 8. Because the 2 offenses group, the highest base offense level applies, which is the 14.
And just to clarify, the judge did say at the end of the proceeding that John was not as fruitful to the investigation as they were hoping. So he was truthful with law enforcement officers about what he did know, but he really didn't know much. But we'll get into that in either part 2 or 3. Depends on how many times it takes us to read the court transcripts in their entirety. Follow my channel, and they'll be out very soon. And to clarify even further, the dangerous weapon that he had that day was the bear mace that he didn't even use. Mr. Schaffer has accepted responsibility, so that's reduced by 2. The 5K reduces it by 4 for a total offense level of an 8. The guidelines range is 0 to 6 months and a $2,000 to $20,000 fine. And I will note that Mr. Schaffer did spend close to 3 months in pretrial detention before he was released, which must have been horrible. Okay, I understand there are some folks who'd like to say a few words on Mr. Schaffer's behalf this morning. Mr. Marcantel says, that's correct. Judge, we'll start with Matt Barlo.
So Matt goes up and says, "Good morning, Your Honor." The court says, "Mr. Barlo, good morning." "Sir, my name is Matthew Barlo. I'm a 21-year veteran of the Georgetown Police Department in Georgetown, Delaware. I've been privileged being in charge of the Criminal Investigation Unit. I've been John Schaffer's friend for over 30 years, and I've been his brother-in-law for 24 years. I worked with John in his band Iced Earth for more than a decade, even going back to work in the band after being a police officer. John has always been supportive, is supportive, and proud of my law enforcement career as I am of his music career. Even after I was no longer in Iced Earth, I felt that John and the band were an extension of myself. As a business owner, I know John has employed hundreds of people over his career, musicians, stage techs, sound engineers, and the list goes on. I've always known John to be honest, hardworking, strong-willed, who takes care of business and the people that he works with. John has stood by friends and colleagues that have fallen on hard times and inspired and comforted thousands of people throughout the world with his music. It's obvious that John was now found himself on hard times now and needs the support of the loved ones who love him and those who truly appreciate the gifts that he's given the world through his music. Though John may have stumbled, I believe that he has maintained his honesty and loyalty to those closest to him, while gaining a deeper understanding and modesty and repentance. It's my belief that through and through, he has suffered great loss through his misstep. John has the time to become a better person of himself and possibly the best version of himself. John spends hours on the phone with my wife, his sister, and he's talked about the new friends he's met in his church, and I'm sure some folks that you're going to be speaking with, or who are going to speak with you today, and imparting, the wisdom that he's learned along the way. Throughout my career in law enforcement, I've prided myself on being able to see through one's mistakes and see the person. I find that those who find themselves in trouble do not continue in that direction. To assist and inspire those who have found themselves going in the wrong direction. It's a huge part of what I believe that the criminal justice system is about in changing that direction. John Schaffer was never somebody to seek out trouble or deny his obligations to his community, and I believe that he has and will remain steadfast in his commitment to his family, his friends, his church, his career, and this community. The court says, thank you, sir. Appreciate your remarks. Matt says, thank you very much for your time, sir. Of course.
Oh my God. Look at the way they spelled Freddy Vidales. Freddy Vidales. Vidales.
Freddy Vidales.
I'm sorry. They don't know. It's a little funny though. I'm sorry. Mr. Markendale, Judge, next we're going to hear from Freddy Vidales. All right, no, okay.
Say his name.
I will.
Court reporter should have gotten the documents to verify that.
Yeah.
I thought that they would have. Let's get, what did you say again?
Well, the court reporter should have gotten the documents to verify the spelling of the names, but apparently he did not, because we have Freddy Vidales.
Yeah. And how do you know that?
Because I proofread court documents as my side job and have been doing so for like 16 years now.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to, because he's like, well, what? But he actually can verify that that's how things are supposed to be done.
Yeah.
It happens, I'm sure,
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, we know who they are, so. And I'm sure the court documents reflect, so. Mr. Markendale, Judge, next we're going to hear from Freddy Vidales. The court, hi, Mr. Vidales, welcome. Freddy Vidales. Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Freddy Vidales. I am a licensed civil engineer. I have traveled here from Scottsdale, Arizona to speak on behalf of my friend John Schaffer. And actually, I just want to point out that they did start spelling John Schaffer right now throughout the court transcripts. I feel like it goes on and off. I've known him since 2008 when he chose me to be the new bass player for his band. I've gotten to travel around the world, realize my teenage dreams, doing things I never thought I'd get to do, seeing the whole world, and it's been amazing thanks to John. He also taught me a lot about the music business and business in general. I know that I'm a better and more intelligent person for having known this man. He is also so intelligent and compassionate that family came first no matter what we did. And not just his family, the family that was around him. Whenever we're traveling, if anybody had a sick child or aging parents that they had to deal with, John would not hesitate to step up and see if there was anything he could do to help us. One of the memories that sticks out the most is when he learned that the mother of one of our bandmates was too ill to attend a show that day in town, so we rerouted the tour bus. So I do remember in my article I wrote that John had rerouted the tour bus for a sick bandmate, not for a sick mother of a bandmate. So I just wanted to clarify that. I'm sure I'm going to be able to go back and maybe put a couple of revisions in my article now that I have the court transcripts, but I think I kind of want to make a separate article about the court transcripts summarizing everything. So be on the lookout for that. I'm not sure how long that's going to take because I want to get through reading these court transcripts before I start writing a summary of them. I think it's really important. And plus, reading the court transcripts will help me write the article a little bit better. So he rerouted the tour bus at his own expense, and it's very expensive to do that. So we actually got to pull up. She got to see her son that day, and it was priceless. The look on her face and the emotions we were feeling that day, thanks to a decision he came up with on his own. Nobody even asked him to do it. That definitely shows he's a good person. You don't just do that. It's really tough to make money on the road. And he cared, obviously, about family first. And I think that's great. A little cat! Cat trying to steal food. And when you're touring together for months at a time, everybody becomes family, and John was the head of the household. He took care of us, he made sure we didn't want for anything, that we were happy, that we were comfortable being away from our loved ones. Even though a lot of time he was going through stress being a business owner, wasn't the happiest person sometimes because of all of the things that were happening. But it didn't matter, he made sure we were taken care of. And because of that, I'm thankful and grateful to know this man. I mean, can't we all relate to, like, not being the most pleasant person in the world just because there's a lot of stuff going on?
Oh, yeah.
You're managing, like, other people and other things. Like, I think...
Get overwhelming.
Yeah. You know, that's why, like, every time, you know, I even, like, talk to, like, Richard Christie, I know this is, like, just a side note, like, about John, like, he never really had any issues with him, and, like, I think people just need to, like, understand there's a lot of stuff going on when you're a business owner and you're running all these people. Yeah, like, and it's just not an easy, it's not an easy life. It's not an easy life to be a musician, you know?
For sure.
And it's not an easy life to manage a whole band and pay a bunch of people, you know?
This isn't the 70s.
And everything that goes into actually, you know, doing any of the tours and booking the places, it's so much work. It's so much work. And I think anyone who has done even, like, a handful of, like, local tours knows that it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Even just doing, like, 5 or 6 shows within a state or two.
Yeah. I mean,
world tours.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even when I'm just doing, like, the local shows and, like, everything goes wrong, I'm like, everybody get away from me! I quit today! Like, I can't...
It's stressful.
It's just, you just get like that sometimes, you know? Freddie really had a very sweet statement. So I think where I left off,
And because of that,
but it didn't matter. He made sure we were taken care of. And because of that, I am thankful and grateful to know this man. Thank you for your time. The court says thank you for being here.
Mr. Markinell, Judge, next we'll hear from Todd Wright. Todd Wright goes, "Good morning, Your Honor." The court goes, "Good morning." "Mr. Bright, was it?" Todd Wright goes, "Right." "Okay, excuse me. Good morning." Herschel Todd Wright. "My name is Herschel Todd Wright. I have worked for a company, an engine company, Rolls-Royce Aviation, as an engineer. Now I coach business owners. And for the last 30-plus years, I've been training in martial arts, training in the U.S., Europe, Hong Kong. On occasion, I've even trained law enforcement. I met John in 2017 when he came to my school. He was interested in Kung Fu. He had never seen a Kung Fu in our small town, and was interested in what we did. And I saw right away that he had an injury to his neck. He had recently had a vertebrae fusion."
So this was a little tough too. There was just a lot going on, so I didn't get everything right about Todd Wright. I was wrong about Wright. And I'll have to put some corrections in my article like I had said, and I will also have to touch on a couple of things when I write the new summary of the court transcripts.
And his shoulders were locked up. And he was very tense and very stiff and couldn't move very well. And I suggested that we do Tai Chi. That would give us the ability to help him reduce stress, to learn to actively relax those muscles and build some security back into his body and increase mobility. John took the training seriously and made great progress in under 6 months. He lowered his stress level. He was able to relax his posture. He was able to move and increase his mobility. During training, John demonstrated self-control when working with others under stressful situations when we're working with people who aren't always cooperating. And he always had a willingness to help others. In my opinion and experience, John is not a violent person. John did training with me in both groups and private lessons. Outside of martial arts, he's challenged me to learn more about our country, more about our founding, even more about our history. Even coming here in D.C., he suggested that I go to Gettysburg and learn about that major turning point in the battle for the Civil War. And in D.C., he suggested many monuments and places that I should go to see our great history. John also invited me to see the process of creating music, and I was so awed at the level of detail, the technology, the techniques, and the skills that it takes to do that. Just the layering of the music is so amazing and such artwork to it. On occasion, my wife and we'd invite him over for a dinner party. We would. My wife is an excellent cook, and she makes pot stickers, and they're awesome. And we would come over, and we would fold the shells. And you know, if you don't know how to do it right, it's just they look like 3-year-old did it. But we all gather around and we all do that. But when we come into the door at first, my daughter, who's now 5, will grab John's hand, pull him to her play area, and have him sit on the floor to play with her. She felt that anybody that came into our house, she still feels that way. Anybody that comes in the house is there to play with her. And John did that with a smile, even when I told him he doesn't need to. He enjoyed playing with her. Thank you, Your Honor. The court says, Mr. Wright, thank you.
You get to be in the shot.
He wants to do a cameo.
You're supporting John Schaffer, too, in your own furry way. Mr. Marcantel. And finally, Judge, we're going to hear from David Newman Stump. David Newman Stump. Good morning, Your Honor. The court. Good morning, sir. David Newman Stump. I'm David Newman Stump. I first met John over 17 years ago when he visited my studio in search of jewelry, and that's a product we don't actually offer. However, John noticed our original artwork displayed in the lobby and expressed immediate interest in what we do. And that day, he asked if we would be interested in creating album artwork for his band, Iced Earth. At the time, I was unfamiliar with John and his music, but a colleague of mine, Nathan Perry, was a longtime fan and, really eager to collaborate with him. And what began as a simple meeting transformed into nearly 2 decades of professional collaboration and friendship. John's keen ability to recognize the potential and offer opportunities to others left a very lasting impression on me. A relationship started as a business interaction, but it quickly grew into a meaningful friendship built on mutual respect. And John's dedication, integrity, and work ethic inspired me not only as an artist, but as a person. His high standards challenged me to continually improve, and over time, I came to deeply admire his insight, honesty, and commitment to excellence. Throughout our years working together, John introduced me to other artists with whom I continue to collaborate with to this day. John has a remarkable ability to build communities, connecting people with complementary skills and fostering teamwork. His leadership brings out the best in others, creating opportunities that extend far beyond himself. He has always sought to uplift those around him, helping us achieve more than we could have done alone. Despite the challenges John has faced in recent years, I have remained in regular contact with him. I've been inspired by his unwavering dedication to his work and the strong sense of responsibility he maintains, even in these difficult times. In our conversations, John has expressed deep remorse for how his actions have impacted others. His reflections are often emotional and sincere, and he has demonstrated a genuine desire to make amends. John has shared with me his vision for the future, which centers on using his talents and life experiences to uplift others through his faith. He speaks passionately about bringing people together to build stronger, more peaceful communities rooted in faith and love. Based on my long-standing experience with John, I believe in his ability to channel his work ethic, insight, and integrity towards his purpose. Thank you very much for your time, Your Honor. The court, thank you. Thank you for your remarks.
All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. We did 20 pages. This is going to be a 3-part series just because it's a lot to absorb and it's a lot to read. Obviously, I have 2 other people here with me to read the documents and a cat. This cat definitely wants to read, but he can't. So, it was going to be maybe 30 pages in 2 parts, but since Rusty can't read for us, it's going to be 3 parts.
All because of this cat.
All because of you. You lied and said he can read. And little Mo told us that she could play guitar for Order of the Rose, but she didn't really know how to play guitar. She just didn't want to practice. So, the cats. The cats in Order of the Rose say goodbye. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back soon. Make sure to like and subscribe.